Hey, so it is day 10 of the Lent season, and I am choosing today to honor the auditorium staff from Big Walnut High School from my freshman year. And briefly, because it's difficult to sum up things, I think for me especially, but just when you care about people, it's hard to be concise. But anyways, my freshman year of high school was a big struggle for me. I was in a very, emotionally a very dark place. Like a lot of freshmen that are insecure already, like I was. I just struggled feeling like I belonged anywhere and feeling accepted. And it wasn't just that I was a freshman. That's kind of how I felt anyways. And then on top of that, you add the high school freshman thing, and then you're just like, wow, this really sucks. And just to give you, this is a very deep thing for me to share on Facebook or YouTube, but it's important to know context. So my freshman year of high school, I was in a very dark place, very depressed, very, very, very depressed, which is something I still struggle with, but not as much. Definitely not as much as then. But okay, so freshman year, fall, I got to a very dark place. I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. And so it made sense to me then, I am going to take my life because it wasn't even like the whole life's not worth living. I wanted to live life. I just didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. And so what was the point? And so now that we're past that deep thing, right after that happened, it was obviously unsuccessful. But I was still kind of healing from that, if you can say healing. I wasn't really healing, I was just still struggling with that. And it was right after that the auditorium staff approached me, and nobody knew that this was going on, by the way. I really feel like it was the Lord that kind of orchestrated all of that, because right after the suicide attempt, they approached me and wanted me to work with them, and I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, I felt like I didn't belong enough that I wanted to commit suicide, and then here comes people asking me to belong with them. And so that was one way that they really impacted me, just kind of the basic just inclusion. And just having a lot of fun. Working with them was tons of fun. It was a job, so sometimes it sucked, because a job sometimes does suck, but the majority of it was fun and laughter, and just I learned so much that year. It was crazy. So the second thing is, so here's the names: JR, Jill, Jessica, James. A pattern is that they all start with a J. And then there's Lindsay. It doesn't start with a J, it starts with an L. The alphabet tells you that. And so at some point in time, they were like, we should make Lindsay into Jinsey. And so that outside of my mom having a special private little nickname for me, which I won't share on this, because it would probably be embarrassing. Outside of that, I'd never really had a nickname. And so, seems very silly, but that meant something to me. The fact that, not only are they including me, but they're, renaming me so that I match them. And so, it went from Jinsey, and then they made it into, a Chinese, how Daniel-san in, the Karate Kid, and so it was Jinsey-san. And so, I became Chinese, I guess. But, all that to say, auditorium staff, JR, Jill, Jessica, James, thank you so much for how you impacted my life all of those years ago. And that was, gosh, almost 20 years ago. So it was 17 years ago. You came along at such a time in my life that I believe that you had part in saving me. Saving me from that pit of depression. And you kind of gave me confidence. You made me feel like I belonged somewhere. You made me feel like people could love me and could care for me. And so I thank you for that. And I realized that some of this, you had no idea what was going on in my life, but the fact that you guys just, took me under your wing meant a lot. So I honor you guys today. and I hope you're having a great one. Thanks.